Excellency, Mr. A.D. Boissaison, Vice President of the Republic. Are there other VIPs? I don't know. That can be serious. Let's opt for ladies, gentlemen, and friends. Be okay. We have the pleasure this evening to be once again under the cultural roof of Petrosmok of the NSC Park Hotel for another launch. The stand with a significant book, Evolve, your personal guide to uncovering your abundant power, potential, and purpose, conscious leadership for a new era, written by Saira Easton. But at the very beginning, for those who have never been here before, which is a pity, because this is where the cultural action is. It's a pity that you haven't been here before. For those who don't know, every month there is a book launch at NSC Park Hotel. And it's the way the hotel, the group, 96 now, promotes cultural activities, debates, book launching, etc. And it is an occasion to give a good boost, a good promotion to readership in Mauritius. We thank A.D. Boissaison, who find time every now and then to grace by his presence these launches that we have here. Now that he is the President of the Republic, replacing the other, he has more time to come, as you know. I must admit that when I heard of the book and the title, that I was not very over-enthusiastic about the idea of such a launch. Having half read in the past so many book pamphlets and brochures about authors and self-proclaimed gurus wanting to shape my life and paving my way to happiness and serenity, marinated usually to make the recipe authentic in the source of religion and meditation. We've seen that before so many times. In the same, as I said to myself when I heard the book, oh my, another mystic book again. That may have one virtue though, lull me to sleep after the 11 p.m. BBC News. Then Hassan Ibrahim, who's very active in the hotel, gave me a ring and told me that a book with the title Evolve was waiting for me at the reception. I didn't rush to fetch it, believing that at my age, despite the appearance, I have reached my final phase of, let's say, human evolution, as Darwin would have put it. Be it as it may, I took the book, perused it with no intention at all of reading it from cover to cover, believing that no one would be able to make me evolve in the happiness sector, inasmuch as the author says herself at page 27, so I've reached that stage of peace, that it may be not a light read, in fact. And then we met, and I must confess that I was impressed. Her name, Easton, did drain up, for those who know Mauritius, a Mauritian belle though. that of our friend, Saira Easton, a reputed professor, a powerful voice with an Oxford accent, fortunately he's not here tonight, in the field of education, and also a prolific educational and history writer. Then she told me that she married Easton, that she was Mauritian, born in UK. This was enough to ignite my curiosity. In our pre-interview for the radio, I hope you listened to that. Those who have not listened, lift up your hands. In our pre-interview for the radio, we talk about a parent who we have two. Of poor extraction, the father, it's no secret now, used to work as a driver on the Richelieu sugar estate. We can easily imagine how life was at that time, what were the work conditions then. The meager salary compelled Mr. Alibox to take a sort of second job to make ends meet. He woke up every day at 4 p.m., contrary to a daughter who wakes up at 5 to do a yoga. So he woke up every day at 4 p.m. to become the local milkman. And he started to buy airmail letters, so you said, to enable him to write nursing schools in UK, because he always wanted to become a hospital personnel. Just are the ways of God and justifiable demand, unless there be, we think, not God at all, said Milton in Samson Against his. He had a positive answer, contrary perhaps to all expectations. And the family and friends in the neighborhood contributed one way or the other to get him their tickets, the appropriate clothes, and shoes for the Homeric trip. In fact, it was at that time. And so he started working in hospitals. He became a warder, responsible wards in hospitals, and I became easier. And then Saira was born. Saira, despite the work that his father was doing, wasn't born with a golden spoon in her hand with a mouth. No. She had to struggle very, very hard, in fact, to reach the top in the academic performance. And she started in the field of human resources and leadership to travel around the world, bringing connaissances to Africa, especially to Beijing in China, and she became a sort of globetrotter. And then again, the ways of God are very mysterious to guess. She fell ill, and then this is a shock of a beautiful material career. And during a stay at hospital and whatnot, she had time to think that if I ever get over all this, I will change my way of life. And this is what happened, fortunately. She recovered from illness, got back, but on another track. And then she started meditation, she started yoga, and this is where the combination of this is interesting me, in fact. Poor origin plus proximity with death. I think this is a good combination to write a good book about happiness, about serenity, about other ways of life. I have been reading all this. I skipped some pages which I believe of interest to me. But I reached the end, and one of the result, the impact on me that this book had a form of impact on me is the fact that I'm standing here before you delivering a speech in English. Every time I'm impressed. I like English to do that, my vocabulary is rich. But when I think that Alan will be listening to me in an English language, I would just freeze, because I'm not to be able to keep up the level. But in fact, I think why not? I think this is a good example of the impact, just to recognize what you are and just don't even care about about what perhaps people may think about you, even if they are told politely sometimes. How the evening will be unfolded. We will have a testimony from the husband, because behind a woman who has succeeded, there is man. He may not be English all the time, but there is man. Because I've read the adventures that I will not should read that, but the adventures they had together in the jungles written by small mosquitoes, which according to her became the Jurassic Park monsters. It's worth reading that part of the book where together they made. So there will be at one point in time intervention from that. Well, we call immediately to come over. No, let's because he is getting impatient. If I tend to be over-friendly, it's because we've been together for such a long time. Friends, and then political opponents, and friends again. This took about 40 years. In fact, j'appelle les livres où sont discrets.
Saira Easton. It's a pleasure for me to be beside you. And I have to say that when we lived all week, and we told that there was a lady, and he told you that you were living in Peru, you are living in Peru. And I said that, oh, I have a tight program, but since you are living in Peru, I will come, because I was born at Peru. And perhaps it is one of the nicest places in Mauritius. So I'm very pleased to be here today. So global crisis create an environment that is characterized by a fight for survival by countries, companies, and citizens. Fortunately, there is in each one of us the power to adapt, to change, and to give up. We are all aware.
On n'entend pas là, derrière, on n'entend pas, il y a un problème. Est-ce qu'on peut augmenter le volume, s'il vous plaît?
Ça va? We are all aware that the industry was spared from the disruptions of the COVID-19 pandemic. Personal lives and businesses were forced to shift and shape to adapt to a new kind of normal. We can, however, consider the COVID-19 confinement as a kind of paradigm shift which forced us to redefine ourselves. Otherwise, it was mostly an unconscious existence. We we were completely driven by our pleasures and materialism. But in the epic worldwide situation like COVID-19, we had to redefine. We had to move from our lethargy and comfort zone to face the horrible reality of what you describe in your page, in certain pages of your book, of death at the doorstep. This pandemic has blurred the division between our work and family lives and shifted what we value. It has also fundamentally reshaped our relationship with institutions, employees and employees. This new reality requires a new approach for leaders. Increasingly, employees are challenging systems that have traditionally governed the workplace, such as hierarchical management and performance assessment. Leaders, therefore, must shift their mindset to acknowledge that employees' experience goes beyond work. They must focus on designing holistic policies, structures, and systems that are fluid and contextual. But first, leadership is a revolutionary and impactful leadership technique implemented by some of today's most effective leaders. It is the process of which a leader becomes radically responsible, self-aware, and focuses on building a culture of we rather than a culture of we. Conscious leadership, which involves understanding the context and impact of each situation in the organization and its people, is critical to the success of organization now and in the future. The world has begun to admire leaders who can mobilize people and evoke support for the specific cause they are advocating, be it a nation, an alliance, or a multinational company. Charisma, communication skill, influence, and vision have all played valuable roles in gaining this muscle. However, our world has become incredibly complex over the few past generations. And like Einstein and others that I think you like very much, as stated, half a century ago, our thinking or consciousness need to change if we are able to solve the problem we are created with our now outward mindset. And we continue on page 96, I think. You say, then for you, innovation can only thrive in an empowered organization for honest psychological safety. Einstein said we cannot solve the problem of the world on the level of thinking we created them at. He knew that a new solution required not a completely different approach, but rather a different level of thinking. Therefore, there is a new opportunity for a new breed of leader, one that embraces this new thinking that is better suited to today's complex and interconnected society. Conscious leadership is freely assured. It is not awarded, appointed, inherited, or earned as with conventional ideas about leadership. It is not a position, a title, or a personality. It does not originate from outside oneself. It comes from within oneself. It is a highly personal stance in the universe that one takes, knowing the truth and being in relationship with all that is. Additionally, leadership was simply about directing the behavior of subordinates. The new era has completely turned around our concept of leadership. With its flatter hierarchies, digital advancement, great access to information, and a battle to secure global talent. To thrive in this new era, we must develop a sense of leadership.
over our own lives for centuries, and only can we foster this equality. We are just grateful to Madam Saira Easton for her book, Evil, which is the perfect guide to conscious leadership in a new era. Saira is an international coach and conscious leadership consultant and founder of the Conscious Leadership Academy. She had a corporate career working as the global head of talent for technologies at Thomson Reuters, working and living in London, Geneva, and Beijing. The core of her work in Mauritius focuses on raising talents in organizations to reconnect with their passion, potential, and purpose. She works with organizations that have an aspiration, an open mind to pioneer a new way to retain and develop talent, support high potential talent, and lead women in leadership to impactful position of influence. The key aim and theme of the book is to help the readers discover who they really are, why they are here, and how to make and fulfill a new promise to themselves to lead a more thriving, purpose-led life. The book is meant for people who wish to let go of ethical fears that are holding them back, raise their natural confidence, and seek to succeed in work and life in a more aligned and authentic way. In this book, international leadership coach Saira Easton will take you through a powerful, self-guided program to ignite your own conscious leadership, combining modern Western thinking with the timeless wisdom of ancient Eastern techniques. This book will guide you on your own unique journey back to your authentic power and inner wisdom. Evil takes the form of a conscious leadership program. It's progressively built through a 3R of personal transformation, namely release, remember, and realize. Saira compared these 3 stages to an onion. We release the outer stage until we uncover and remember what lies beneath, eventually allowing us to reach the core where we realize true excellence through manifesting our purpose. Besides, the cover contains 3 important messages to readers. First, you are much more than you think. Profound happiness comes from giving, and in that end, love conquers all. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have leadership talents buried within us all. If you want to tap into the roots of your innate confidence, resilience, creativity, and connection, I strongly refer you to Evolve, the book of Saira, which I have now the great pleasure to launch.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I call upon Alan, the husband, to say a few words. Well, I must admit that if my wife were a specialist in leadership, our cohabitation under the same roof would have been a bit edgy. Someone has to lead, I suppose. Either you're the front horse or the back horse. It's up to you to tell us about it. Go ahead.
Thank you everyone, and I'm sure, like me, you're very keen to hear from Saira herself, to hear her talk about these ideas, but I'm so happy to be here, and it gives just additional support to Saira. We've been partners through so many phases in life, and this is the the next exciting phase. And what's so nice actually is to hear the concepts that are now so familiar, and I've discussed and heard them so many times from Saira sort of so eloquently through our guest of honour, and explained through it, just hearing it sort of move out of our kitchen. And more importantly, the cafe at SoFlo in Florial, where actually most of the book was written, Table 21. Strongly recommend it as a great quiet place to work if you want to just focus. But seriously, this is now Saira's time, I think, to bring it forward to a bigger audience and to share it with you all. Saira went through so much to arrive at the truths that are here, having overcome so much in her life. It did teach her genuine wisdom, and to see just, how difficult those times were when Saira was taking this long recovery with a very confusing kind of medical picture, conflicting advice, often quite patronising and kind of disempowering advice and descriptions of what was going on and what she should do to recover. Putting all that to one side, going within, that's where the true power was, and I think that's the power that Saira really wants to share with the world. So I think that's enough for me and enough from everyone else, and please, Saira Easton.
Thank you, Alan. I call upon Saira to tell us all about this fabulous experience.
Okay, so I was going to wait to do thank yous later, but I cannot go forward anymore without saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, right honourable guest, Finley, Eddie, every single person who is here in all your different ways. Like Alan was saying, all these concepts are just being debated in our living room in the cafe with one person. But my dream was always to bring it back to my motherland, my home, which is Mauritius, where my roots are, where my family were from. And I had no idea how that was going to work. I didn't know anyone in Mauritius but my family. All of these faces here are people that I have just got to know in the last few months even. It's all unraveled so magically with all the incredible support. If I look at you three just here, I see media, corporate, politics, those three senior leaders in these spheres who are the gateways to advocating this kind of message from the book within the country. It's amazing. I'm so grateful that you three are here, and all of you are here. But I'm not just about talking, I'm about experiences, because I think we hear a lot of talking. And one of the things that I feel in terms of where change comes from when we go inside is the silence. And so what I want to do from my own experience of relaxation, calming the nervous system, slowing down our thinking brain, is just to give us a chance to all together pause and go into this space where we can just connect with that silence and what we might be experiencing inside and what our inner true voice is saying to us right now. So, kids at the back, my kids, if you want to play, maybe hop outside, because this is a quiet bit, Aisha. So just we'll get them playing somewhere else. And so, Alan, cue music. Relaxation music. So I'm just going to read off something that I've written. And I'd just like you to just go with me in your mind, just listening. I'll give you some few relaxation cues. Alan, down a bit. Are you? Okay. When we run from place to place for so long, so fast, we lose something. We lose our peace. We all have a story about how we got into this room today, whether it be 6 or 6:30, and no doubt not probably plain sailing. We're probably juggling work deadlines or keeping people as happy as we could or making sure that the kids had dinner, on the table. Whatever duty and responsibilities that lay on all of our shoulders in its heavy weights right now at this point in time in life. And so, I want to offer you something right now. I want to offer you the gift of time. Just for you, for nobody else, with no other responsibility but you. Because when we finally stop, slow down, breathe, time slows down too. Not the chronological time on our clocks and our phones, but the most inner, vital time and space of our whole self. We finally take that breath again. We return to what is simple. We stop looking behind. We stop racing our anxious minds forward. And we land right now in the here and the now and the present. I'd like you just to join me now for a few breaths. So if we just sit in our chair where you are, just extend the spine, just so that you can open your airways, and allow yourself to take that deeper breath where we can start to calm the nervous system, calm the body. Just start to feel your feet on the ground. Get in touch with your own body. Usually we're so far in our heads, we don't even connect with what's here right now. Feel those feet on the ground, connected to the earth below you, connected to everything that is living below you. Take a deep breath in and just roll the shoulders up, roll them back down and just release. Just lay the hands down wherever they feel comfortable. We need to take 3 breaths with you. Those breaths down from the base of your lungs, where your belly button is. To the count of 3, inhale through the nose. 2, 3, hold. Gently breathing out through the mouth. 1, 2, 3. Do that twice more. Breathing in through the nose. 2, 3, hold. Breathing out through the mouth. 1, 2, 3. One more breath now. Breathing in, relaxation, energy. 1, 2, 3. Hold. Breathing out. 1, 2, 3. Softening and letting go. When we start to release, we start to remember automatically. We're not learning, we're not thinking, we're just connecting with what has always been inside, and it has been such a powerful inner voice trying to call you constantly. Your voice. Your own inner voice, wisdom. So welcome back home, everyone, to this space inside you that stays eternally unshakable, so grounded and foremost, absolutely immersed in love. It is time for us all to finally stop. It is time for us to let go of the futile fight that holds us so constantly in tension and unwanted, created diseases, stresses, heart problems, diabetes. It's time for us to stop. It's time for us to let our shoulders drop, let those frowns turn back into a smile. Let our diaries start to clear. ownership and responsibility to others, but one that actually realigns with perspective to prioritize what really matters from the heart, how quickly that matters, when it matters, so that every action we take is intentional with impact from the heart. Our bodies and hearts are yearning for this state of inner balance. We are aging faster than we were ever meant to. We're picking up pains and imbalances and diseases because although the mind can go to great lengths at such pace and such full stamina, our bodies can't. I am living proof of that. I chased so fast for so long in every possible way until my body said no. And so I had to learn. I had to learn, why are we running? What are we running from? Because we're all so fast and running, but we don't even know why. It's the crazy part of it. Because one day we were all kids. We were kids running around just like my kids were over there innocently. We were getting muddy. We were getting messy. We were jumping and we were dancing and we were playing. We were inviting strangers to play with us, all around us, just playing games. We were at one with nature in this beautiful tropical island, and the memories I have so vividly from when I was 8 as a child here. Playing in nature, breathing in that fresh air, making toys out of bits that we found on the ground, and following our most innate instincts to create, to share, to live, to laugh, to give, to love. Those innocent times I hear from my dad in Roshana on the estate, where communities were so together. From my mum, where they shared in the streets of Foxside amongst the community. I remember too from my childhood here, those simple times. And there was one agenda. You know what the one agenda was? Have fun as a kid. Play games that gave us pleasure through the journey. The journey that just held our attention so completely because nothing else mattered. Until we grew up. Then day by day, the world around us told us that playing was for kids. And it's time to grow up, because growing up means study hard, work hard, perhaps pray hard too, and learn to be a good citizen within the home, within the family, within the community. We learned that study was the key out of poverty. And it placed us in the echelons of admired greatness if we were to achieve such academic brilliance. We thought we could become financial providers and lift our family out of scarcity, just as my dad did, bringing the money back home to his family. These were all truths that we had to follow during that time. And we thought that it would bring us back into the world of plenty and choice. They were notable and natural accolades to pursue from a place of historic poverty and previously ancestry. But somewhere on that journey, that very fast journey that happened from the sugar canes to the ebons, we got lost. We forgot that as kids, we actually felt full most of the time, even though there was maybe less, but we had enough. We were rarely starving. We had strong shelter around us and we were protected from the storms. We saw our neighbours as friends and we had trust within communities. We walked the streets around us and we called all the people around us, Chacha, hey, uncle, tanti, mon frère, my brothers, so forth. And kids and adults lived in communities of balance. Until we reset the labels of what lack and poverty meant. Because somewhere along those lines, we started to gain fulfillment from getting more, accumulating material stuff, and we began to take pride in the external and those material things, placing great value on what latest model of BMW or Mercedes we drove, or what fancy clothes, and we started to trade that over the food that we shared, maybe with our neighbours. Some of the values that I remember my dad sharing us in his childhood. Somewhere we got lost. We believed, and still part of us does, that we don't have enough, and that richness could be gained from those material things outside of us. We began to prepare to turn a blind eye to the repercussions that was doing to our environment, to our relationships, to our communities. So now, can we ask ourselves honestly? Can we ask it to ourselves without judgment, without shame, without reprimand? Could we do better? Could we do things differently? I think that not only could we reset our version of reality, but we absolutely need to. And deep inside, we are actually desperate to. There is a clearing of the way happening, and there is a momentum that can support this powerful shift within us from many people around us. Because everywhere in the world right now, people are searching for deeper meaning. They're looking for their purpose. They're reaching out to teachers, coaches, trainers. They're going for hikes in nature. They're looking to find this peace and prosperity that they know was always inside them. Something ancient, something historic that was lost. Truths that are within our history. The good parts of it that were lost but we can find now. In wider, we're looking, can we raise our level of leadership? Can we raise our level of talent? Can we close the skills gap? Can we support inclusive leadership? Can we develop female leaders in a way that they're bringing forward these qualities of nurture, inclusion, creativity that the world desperately needs to see? Can we create wellness from a place of sustainability, not just an added Zumba class to the wellness agenda, but going deep inside and resetting what we know is true balance? We may not have all the answers yet, but we are on our way back home, and that is something to celebrate. That is. Because right here, right now, we have a golden opportunity. Because when people gather together with like minds, with the intention of bringing positive change, things start to happen. Energy surrounds you, begins to lift. A vibration, a metaphysical vibration that is within every single body, scientifically proven, starts to raise and vibrate further. Starts to automatically release and dissolve the idea of the I, becomes the idea of the we. We start to release those self-limiting beliefs. We start to open our hearts automatically. The floodgates of love, bliss, joy naturally start to flow because they're our natural state. They're not related to anything external that we need to get extra of. It doesn't rely on circumstance or situations, it's just in us. You start to remember who you truly are, and that is where change needs to happen today. When this happens, you start to open your eyes a little bit more widely. You look around you, you realise things that were always there. You see more vividly in colour. You see friends, not enemies. You see possibility and how you can give and want to give so much because you feel full inside you, so full that it's overspilling. That true nature of your purpose, which is connected to service to one another, starts to into your true state of remembering, the path of really, truly unlocking your hidden passion, potential, and purpose. So perhaps at the end of this just little talk that I've given, we could maybe make a promise to ourselves and to one another. To say to ourselves inside, I'm ready. I'm ready to open myself to this idea that there is more in me. There is more ways that I could be doing my life in not the conditioned way that I'm used to, but with a conscious insight and foresight from the heart. I'm ready to come back home. I'm ready to love more widely, more vividly than ever before. I'm ready to release, to remember, to realize. Thank you, everyone.
I think that there's much to say after what we've heard. We are nearing the end of this ceremony with a QA situation, question and answers. For those who don't know, Eddie Jolicoeur is also a specialist in human resources and leadership. And Saira, as is informed me that we'll be here to put some questions, I suppose, to shed light on the book or on this intellectual journey that she has made. It's up to you. I leave that to you.
Thank you, Finlay. Good evening to you all. I feel a bit guilty because when I met Saira, and she was telling me all about these metaphysical things, I put it to her. I said, if you've got so many things to say, why don't you write a book? And she replied, I have already. And she said, next time we meet, I'll bring a copy. And here we are. She generously gave me a copy of her book with a nice word in it. And then I thought, I'm not the kind of person who gets into that space. I am too rational. So she says, well, then come to the launching event and ask me your rational questions. And we haven't rehearsed that. So I went back home with the book, and I read it, and the thing is that I found the answers in the book. So I don't know whether I still answer the questions, but there we go. We plan to do it. Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. So I've been brought up to be speedy in my professional life. Everything has to happen quickly. Taking decisions, developing options, and doing things. And I was just told to run around. So how do you slow me down?
I think the only way that anybody can actually slow down is not through the mind, is through the body, and is through the breath. It's when we are so speedy, our cortisol is running out high, our stress hormone, our breath. When we automatically breathe further into our lungs, as hopefully you experienced here, your mind and your thoughts slow down. And the first thing though that does need to happen is wanting to. Most of us don't want to. I was absolutely guilty of that. My mum, dad, everybody who knows me knows that. out from morning, up in the morning, 2-hour bike rides, working. We need to want to. We need to want to know that there is benefit in pausing and slowing. And what's happening now is we just, at the pain point, we're actually so stressed with so many things that we're being forced to, either by our bodies, etc. But the first step is wanting to. The second step is we calm the nervous system. We learn how to breathe again, because we actually all used to know how to do this, but we become unnatural in something that is so fundamental to our existence.
Thank you. And I was wondering also, how do you reconcile, because you use corporate jargon in your book, you know, I sort of a lot of familiar terms, but still, I'd like to know, how do you reconcile the corporate material animal with who are, in fact, they don't talk about conscious leadership, they talk about obvious leadership, because for them it's sort of written somewhere. So how do you reconcile that material animal with purpose?
Yes, good question. I think one of the bits that I brought into near the end of the book is there's 3 different pathways. We've used to see the world in profit organisations, non-profit organisations. We run charity or we try to earn money. What I'm trying to bring together through conscious leadership is this path of prosperity. It means there is nothing wrong with getting rich. Money gives us something. It gives us accessibility to things that serve us. It's energy. It can come through as exchange, buy, etc. It serves many. When I decided to bring all this work back into corporate, it's because I felt it was the space that could gain most to shifting the mindset to this prosperity mindset. When we switch from the I to the we start to address those problems of sustainability. Those corporates have the power to influence communities around them. The CSR programs, sustainability programs, environmental programs take it in a different direction. If it's done with, we could gain more in our company by doing it innovatively, creatively, with nurturing mindset. The ripple effect could be massive. And even more so in Mauritius, because we're not just Mauritius anymore. We're Africa. We're global. I'm looking at my cousin here now, he's expanded into Africa, and I'm admiring some of the work he's doing, because I wasn't aware of that before. I see our footprint now, and I see that if we develop this we mindset, this nurturing, holistic mindset, we're going to go so much further, so much quicker.
I have a last one. You talk about a subject for which I'm very passionate. It's leadership. And someone said to me the other day, there's a lot of anxiety in the environment, and leaders are anxious because of the dynamics of the business environment. So how do you import that anxiety to eventually export energy to your teams?
First of all, I think we get much smarter about talking about mental health. I'm looking at my dad, who's a senior mental health psychiatric nurse, and I'm thinking of what he taught me and when I look around Mauritius, what taboo mental health still can be. When we look at those managers and those leaders, which leader is not experiencing a huge amount of anxiety and burnout right now? Yet they're holding it together so firmly, many of them, and trying to portray this image of holding it together. We need to get much smarter, much more accepting of these states that are normal states when somebody is under so much pressure. Start releasing the taboos and explaining the science behind it. As I often talk about to people, when I had to understand burnout, the high cortisol, we're not supposed to be on high cortisol stress level all the time. It's supposed to come down into melatonin in the evening so we get that lovely sleep. But who's getting a whole night lovely sleep? Actually, just put your hands up. Who's getting a whole night lovely sleep? None of us, right? Especially if we've got kids. Some level of us, we're anxious. We're tied up in the future, thinking what obligations we've got. So we just have to start talking.
We reach the end of this launching ceremony. That would have been incomplete if the book had not been officially launched. This is for highly symbolical. We'll ask you to give symbolically a book to Mr. Eddie Jolicoeur. Sorry, what's his name?
I've already got my copy.
Just for the picture. Eddie, can you come here, please, so that you should be given a book. Thank you very much. Bon, actuellement, à l'université aussi, l'auteur se fera un plaisir de dédicacer son livre pendant que le LSI Hotel nous offre un cocktail pour que vous puissiez au moins avoir la possibilité, to discuss with the...
Je pense que tout le monde comprend français aussi.
To discuss with the... I think there are some English people in the crowd, yeah? You're the only one. By that time, you're speaking Creole, I suppose. Donc, on vous remercie pour votre présence. Si vous voulez être tenu informé des activités culturelles de l'Institut Hotel, il y aura on va prendre des notes, vous laissez vos coordonnées et on vous enverra des courriels aussitôt qu'il y a quelque chose. Donc ça va se passer ici, le cocktail. On vous remercie pour votre présence et au nom de Saira et de sa famille, je vous remercie et en espérant vous retrouver